So Street Fighter was released in 1994, stars Jean-Claude Van Damme, our Lord and Savior, and Raul Julia, along with a bunch of other people, and like Kylie Minogue is in here in like, I think her first acting role ever when she was trying to break into the American market. But this movie is something special. It is fucking terrible. It is terrible, but I love it. Like, it's so bad that it's good. It sort of vaguely follows the plot of the games. Like, not really, honestly. It says it's based on Street Fighter 2, but the story is not. I don't think it really follows it at all. You've got Van Damme playing Colonel Guile, essentially the hero of the Americans in the Street Fighters. He's like the goodest good guy. And then you've got Raul Julia playing M. Bison in honestly probably this man's most iconic role ever. He gets so many good one-liners and monologue type things going on in this film. He gets like really amazing scenes through, like as a villain, like I have not seen a film build their villain up this much or as well as Street Fighter the movie has done. Everything else about the film is terrible. Like, it's so bad. But Raul Julia as M. Bison has to be like one of the greatest decisions ever made in film. It just works and it's unbelievable. So what's our plot for this? Well, there's not really a plot, is there? You basically have M. Bison doing M. Bison things. He's taken some people hostage. He's set up a fucking 72-hour nuclear countdown, and Guile and his team of merry warriors have to go and stop him. That's it. That's as bare bones as it gets. So we open with Chun-Li and a news report. Shit that's happening, like war and blah, blah, blah. And she's explaining that, you know, M. Bison is the one who's behind it all, and he's in this country, Shadaloo, and he's running it from there and whatnot. Amongst this, we get a shot of Bison. He's got this huge wall filled with a bunch of screens to make like a really big screen, as villains back in the 90s used to do. And he's sort of coming down on this weird like hovering elevator craft type thing. This is while the credits are rolling and Chun-Li's talking in the background, and he gets this opening scene where we're kind of like, all right, he looks a bit weird, he looks really puffy, and he's in this gigantic costume. They put him up against 3 of the army soldiers who have been taken hostage, and he just bang snaps neck on one of them and he goes, pathetic.
Hostage pit closing.
You came from across the world to fight me, soldier.
Stand clear.
Now is your chance.
Imaginations relief workers kidnapped 24 hours ago by Shadow.
Pathetic.
And then he's like, oh, it's your turn. Then the other guy has a go at him, and then he fucking snaps that dude's neck too. Of course, he doesn't kill the third one because that's Charlie, you know, Guile's best friend. We're straight into it. There's no, like, we haven't stopped. Like, there's no downtime at all. Guile gets on the camera and he's been patched into Bison's headquarters, and he's talking about, like, you know, he's like, oh, you fucking like seeing yourself on TV, and then he does this one.
That bastard Bison! I know you like to look at yourself on television, you sick son of a bitch. So look at this.
And it's like, what? How does that have anything to do with him wanting to see himself on TV with you doing that? It's just funny. And the dubbing is really bad at this point too. There's a moment where like Van Damme's not even talking, like his lips aren't moving, but his voice is reading out the lines. Obviously they must have recut it or redubbed it or something. So in this opening scene, we get Guile, we get Bison, we get Chun-Li, and we get Cammy, played by Kylie Minogue. So after getting introduced to about 5 or 6 of the Street Fighter characters, we move to another location. We get to this sort of underground fighting club, and there's like a cage and whatnot, and we've got Ken and Ryu, and they walk in and they're looking around because they're looking to sell weapons. And basically these guys are dodgy. Like, they sell flunky weapons to, you know, to people. They're shitty arms dealers basically, and they're kind of the comedic relief of this movie. But they can still fight, which is good. Like, they weren't just used as joke makers. They can actually still fight as well as they can. They were always my favorite characters, Ken and Ryu. There's just something about fucking flipping across the screen, doing a spin kick, and then throwing out a Hadouken. There's no better characters, honestly, in Street Fighter. And if you think so, I'll fucking fight you. I mean, I won't, but Ken and Ryu walking around this area, they get taken up to the office where we meet Sagat, you know, who is another one of the sort of villainous characters from the games. He's also kind of like a minor villain in this movie, and his champion of the cage is Vega, who is fucking one of the most badass characters, not in the movie, in the games. He's fucking badass, dude. He's one of my favorite characters from the games. He was awesome. And sort of halfway through this like meeting where Ken and Ryu get found out for being dodgy, you know, dodgy arms dealers, Guile just bursts through the door on top of a tank and just arrests everybody at this fighting ring.
You're all under arrest.
True Van Damme style. Now that they've taken everyone into custody, they've arrested all these people, Ken and Ryu are used as kind of infiltrators by Guile and the army. You know, they're on the side of the army, but they're bugging them into the criminal underworld, basically. And they set up this scheme where Ken and Ryu are gonna break Sagat and Vega and a bunch of the other criminals out of this area. They're gonna fake shoot Guile. So they set up this elaborate plan where so many little things have to go right for them to be able to do this, and they managed to shoot Guile, or fake shoot Guile, and he fucking just blood everywhere. Later, of course, we find out that he has like a little blood vest underneath, and he just popped it to make it sort of, you know, this idea that, hey, let's make it seem like Guile is dead so that we have the element of surprise against Bison. What? Who cares if he thinks you're dead or if you're alive? It really doesn't matter. Like, you're going to fight him. So they've all broken out of captivity. We follow Ken and Ryu and Victor Sagat and all these people, and they go to this meeting place with M. Bison. It's kind of like a carnival type thing going on where there's like dancers, and then there's guns being sold to different people. Chun-Li happens to be there with her two backup people. And this is the thing about this movie. This plot is literally just about Guile going to fight M. Bison, and this movie is an hour and 40 minutes long. There's this scene where E. Honda is getting tortured by one of Bison's goons, and he's got him tied up into this mechanism, and he's grabbed like a whip, and he's saying to him, he's like, oh, we're gonna teach you how we deal with foreigners in Shadaloo. And E. Honda's just like sitting there, he's this big islander boy, and he's just getting slapped with this whip, and he's just chilling, like he's just...
Let me show you how we treat foreigners in Shadaloo.
He's like, yeah, bro. He's like, you can keep whipping me until this dude just goes, he's like, fuck this, man. I'm out. I can't torture this guy properly at all. As we sort of we're going through Bison's headquarters, we're seeing a bunch of different things, little people here. Guile and his army, they're planning an attack. So mind you, this is only 40 minutes into the movie. There's still an hour of this movie to go. They're at the planning stage at 40 minutes. So there is still a full hour of just fights and bullshit to commence. Now, after Guile has set up his plan of attack, he's got his army out there. He goes and says to the senator, he's like, suck my dick, bro. He's like, we're going to go attack this guy. You might not want us to, but we're going to go do it. And then we get the best scene in this movie, hands down. It is the moment between M. Bison and Chun-Li, who he has taken captive, and he has this fucking amazing monologue, unbelievable monologue. Chun-Li spends all this time talking about how she had vowed to be the one. She vowed that she was going to get revenge for her entire family. And Bison's walking around the room, and he's kind of listening, and he goes, he's like, honestly, I don't even remember. He's like, I fucking smashed that many villages. He's like, your village didn't mean shit to me.
I'm sorry. I don't remember any of it.
You don't remember?
For you, the day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
It was the most important day in your life. For me, it was a Tuesday. He just doesn't give a fuck about what he's done. But it's just the delivery of Raul Julia. He's so hammy, and you can just tell he's like, this is fucking terrible. But you know what? He's like, my kid wants me to do it, so I'm just gonna be M. Bison in this movie and just be funny and just be a cockhead. And it works really well. It's really, really funny when he's on screen. After M. Bison has laid this bomb on Chun-Li, she's just stunned. She's standing there just stunned in the fucking face. And from here, the rest of the movie is literally just balls to the wall, fights everywhere. There's fights where Guile and his army, they're coming up to the headquarters. They've come along the river. There's a pyramid type thing. It's a really weird looking headquarters. And they're fighting a bunch of the goons on the outside. There's a bunch of fights breaking out on the inside. Ken and Ryu are fighting a bunch of goons. Chun-Li's fighting a bunch of goons. And then we get the big fight. We get Guile v Bison. And it is terrible. The wire work in this movie has to be one of the absolute worst. You've got Bison flying across the room with his hands outstretched. You've got Guile doing spin kicks and fucking flying across the room with his legs outstretched and kicking Bison into places. And it's just funny. Like, it's one of those movies that's just really, really funny. A lot of the stuff in it is super, super ridiculous. Like, it's not to be taken seriously. If you like the games, it's still not one of those things where I can be like, if you like the game, you'll like this movie. It's got to be one of those things where you know that this is a bad film and you've got to sit there and just accept that everything that is in this film is terrible. You just have to accept it. Otherwise, you cannot enjoy this film. You'll be sitting there and you'll be like, this is dumb. That's dumb. This doesn't make sense. That looks shit. This is terrible. This isn't what that movie is for. This is a movie that is... It's like the old Ninja Turtle movies where you watch them and you're like, okay, these aren't good, but there's something nostalgic about them. There's something fun about watching these movies. And honestly, for me, like, I haven't watched it in a few years, but I put it on again the other day. And it's one of those films where there's a lot of points. There's a lot of points where you can kind of just like zone out. And if this movie was, say, an hour and 20 minutes, it would be perfect. It would be unbelievable. There's a lot of filler in this film. That's what you get with this kind of film. They were probably told, hey, you've got a $35 million budget. You've got to make a movie. You've got to make it a certain length. We need to get our money back. And they did that. I mean, they did something. All I know is I really enjoy this movie. For me, it's another Van Damme classic in terms of how hammy his performance is. This is a real Van Damme movie, this one here. This is where, you know, he's the hero and he knows it and everybody knows it and he plays it up for the camera and he does all these really funny one-liners and he's got all these weird actions. Raul Julia as a villain is fantastic. You know, this movie, if you want a good time, you can watch this. If you don't like stupid films that don't take themselves seriously, you won't enjoy this movie. This is not for you. This is for people who purely enjoy shit movies for the fact that they are shit. That is who the target market... It's probably not the intended target market of this movie. It's like the people who like The Room. You know, we know it's a bad movie, but we still enjoy it. Like, we enjoy it because it's bad, and that's what Street Fighter is. So me giving Street Fighter, say, like a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 is what I think it is. My personal scale. It's an enjoyment scale for me. It doesn't necessarily mean quality or unbelievable cinematography or fantastic stunts. It's how much I enjoyed the movie. Now, 7 out of 10 for me, for this movie, someone might say it's a fucking 2 out of 10. And I would be like, you know what? It is a 2 out of 10. But for me, it's also a 7 out of 10. I can see objectively that people would hate this fucking film and say it is dog shit. Absolute dog shit. But if you go into it knowing that it's bad and you're there to have a good time, you will enjoy this movie. So, hope you enjoyed this one, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Be good people.